I think that the common question is, it's pretty busy here as a coach, it's pretty busy here as an executive. How do I find time to do all of this? And I think there's some architecture, and we should go through this quickly to kind of stay on time. But I'll talk about the architecture of maybe of a coach's job just for a second. So maybe there's a first bucket called operations. I mean, everyone's got a boss, right? You can't let that relationship go bad. A lot of us have people reporting to us. Well, that's a human resource function. You have a legal responsibility there. Everyone's got a budget. Can't blow the budget. Compliance, don't step on that rake. They'll fire you the same day, right? Communications, you have internal communications, external communications. Don't let that relationship with that key donor go bad because you haven't been communicating with them. And on and on. Media relations, event management, just go ahead and flush out that operational bucket. We really have two ways to solve this, I typically see. One is that the coach ignores it because it's no fun. The coach ignores it, actually believing that they're better than that type of work, and then sooner or later, at least in the long term, they're in trouble. Something there will happen. They'll have a falling out in their relationships on campus, a budget error, a compliance problem. Other coaches are so obsessed with their responsibilities and so afraid that they're going to get in trouble if they don't get all this done, they put too much energy into that bucket. I suggest to you that you systemize it. I suggest to you that you take every responsibility in that bucket and you systemize it and you keep it as efficient as possible because there's no wins in that bucket, just a bunch of work. The next bucket is probably applied science. We all get to decide what bits of applied science we bring to our profession. Most of us have a strength and conditioning component to what we do. Some of us take it further. Some of us get a true athletic signature of each athlete and make sure those programs are specific to that athlete, maybe to a sport, maybe to a position. Notational analysis, I'm a big believer. My instincts for my sport are very good. I kind of know what happened and why it happened and what it's going to mean. But I also have a saying that why guess when you can know? I really do want to know. I really want to invest in video analysis and notational analysis, and I want to make sure we're gold-plated in those areas. There's a bucket in coaching. Recruiting probably goes in there. I certainly have a philosophy of how I want my teams to play, but it's not a philosophical exercise. What I have to do is build a technical approach to playing the games with what I have, right? With the assets on our team, with our strengths, not a philosophy. So we have to build a technical approach, strategies, and subsequent tactics from what we really have, not a philosophy. Then this last bucket is the culture bucket, the all-important culture bucket, which determines whether you go all the way to the top and whether you're at the top of the medal stand or whether you're even on the medal stand. And that's what I'm here to speak about today. So I guess it begins with a mindset. The mindset on my team, grateful for everything, entitled to nothing. Why? Well, I reckon that there's not enough gratitude in this world, and there's certainly not enough gratitude in student athletes. You know, I think it's kind of amazing that you can put your dirty clothes on this loop and you throw them in this hamper, and the next day you come back and they're clean in your locker. It's a miracle. I just want us to be thankful for all those little things, all of those little things. And I also want us to not feel we're entitled to anything. And I'm not really carrying the water of the university when I say that. I'm really saying that, you know, if we don't think we're really owed anything, if we really don't believe that, and if we're willing to work for everything that we have, we get more resilient, is what happens. Now, this is where this goes. This idea of creating a value system. And I think the system part is what I want to emphasize here today. This isn't enough to say we believe in this stuff. We have to boxcar what we believe in together. And in combination, those values become a system. And that system allows us to kind of process all the transactions that come before the team, all of them, off the field, on the field, collective, individual. It allows us to process all of those decisions in a real principled way, you know, based in values. So these are beliefs. The system needs to be all-encompassing. You need to be able to put, just sit and think, what possibly could that student athlete walk in and ask? What possibly situation could our team be in and off the field? And your values have to be able to encompass every situation that would come before it. And obviously these things have to be complementary and they can never be contradictory. Ours starts with selflessness. We just believe in team first, self last. The intent is a declaration that says we will process every decision that comes before us on what's best for the team first. From an organizational perspective, our decision, I should say, is do we want to deal with this stuff one at a time? Or do we want to put a value out there that can minimize this, mitigate how many of these things we deal with? Selflessness as a value. Constant performance improvement. I didn't say results. Constant performance improvement as a value. We're working too hard at this not to demonstrate that we're getting better at it. Now, a lot of people, the media, a lot of our stakeholders and our fans, maybe our bosses, they think getting better is having better results. Well, sometimes that's true, but not always. I think if any of you have been coaching a while, I think you'd know that, results track performance. It's not the other way around, right? So if we can concentrate on our performance, that's how we're going to get our results. Now, if you say that in a business setting sometimes, constant performance improvement, that's more important than results, invariably somebody in the back of the room raises their hand and says, well, coach, with all due respect, that might be great in rugby, but here at XYZ Corp, we got to win. I want to laugh. Are you kidding me? Coaches fired? You go 7-4, you keep your job. You go 4-7, you go home, honey. Got fired today. We're going to Timbuktu. They've got a good rugby job there, so listen, we get it, right? We get that results matter. We get winning matters. We get you get fired if you don't win, but it's not a value. It's not a value. Getting better every day is a value. Merit. Merit is a value. And I think when you really study high-performance teams, what you find is there are meritocracies is what they are. If your voice is going to resonate on that team, if people are going to listen to you, people are going to follow you, they're going to collaborate with you, it's because you're getting it done, because you're performing. It's not about your potential, although that's good to have. It's not about your seniority, although that's good to have. But seniority is really, it's your intellectual property is what it is. If you can't monetize that by creating performance in the moment, it's worthless. Seniority in and of itself doesn't mean anything. It's a good thing to have because you have experience, but it has to be monetized. So merit is kind of an interesting thing. We have to decide. Do you want your team to, the voices that resonate here are the people that play. We don't care who your daddy is. We don't care what color your skin is. We don't care what religion you are or what your sexuality is. What we care about is can you ball, can you play now, here, in this moment. That's merit. It's a very, very powerful thing. Now, of course, the rugby coach was going to talk about toughness, right? But maybe not the kind of toughness you think. Brett mentioned that I have a glossary. I have a glossary because we're an organization, we're a team. When we use words, we have to have the same definitions, or it doesn't mean anything. My definition of mental toughness, the ability to focus on the next most important thing. Whatever's requiring you to access mental toughness wasn't good. And what we worry about is what's going to happen next and what it could mean. And now the kids worry about social media and what's going to be said after the game. Now listen, this is an ability. You're not born with it. The ability to focus on the next most important thing. It's a skill. You refine it, you work on it. Maybe some people are born better than others, but we can all have it. We can all get there. Leadership. Here's what I don't believe. I don't believe that leadership should be rank-based. I don't believe that the coach should be the leader. I don't think that the star player should be the leader. I don't think that the senior should be the leader. I don't think the executive in the corner office with the best business card should be the leader. They have authority. They have rank. And I think it's needed. It's required. But I think of leadership differently. I think organizationally, I think of leadership in a different way. I don't see it as rank-based. I see it as ability-based, skill-based. My definition, or our definition for leadership, the ability to make those around you better and more productive. We believe in chain of command. We want to be organized through chain of command. But we think leadership is something that should be accessible to everyone. We want everybody within our team, everybody within our organization, to be able to contribute to the center of the team, to be able to contribute to the leadership, to make those around them, to the best of their ability, better and more productive. Kind of interesting to think about that way. Becomes a little bit more powerful. It becomes very, very dynamic. I think I'd rather play against the team that had that minority leading the majority than a team that had a lot of people really working and contributing to the middle. And by the way, once you make it a value, you can require it. You can just say, that's how we do things here. You know, lastly, just on this point of building teams, you know, there was a great football coach, Bo Schembechler. Bo has passed now, of course. He was from Michigan. And when I was a young coach in my late 20s and, you know, trying to figure out everything I could figure out about coaching, I studied Bo a bit, and I heard him talk one time, and Bo was talking about recruiting, building your team. And I'll just remind you, the football teams play each other one Saturday autumn a year, and Bo was saying, you know, if you really, really want a guy, you really want him for your team, and you don't get him, they'll only beat you once a year. Well, that's kind of cute, I thought, and everything. And then this old boy clears his throat. And he says, on the other hand, if you get the wrong guy on your team, they'll beat you every day. I remember I didn't have a pen. And I asked this nice lady next to me if she had a pen. She dug through her purse, and I wrote it on my arm. I will never forget that as long as I live. And I built my teams that way ever since. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been very, very kind to me. Thank you very much.